Guys, welcome to today's video. My name is Kat. Thank you for stopping by as always. Today we are gonna be testing out the Wet n Wild foundations against each other. So I've got a liquid foundation and I've got the stick foundation. These are really cheap. You can get them at Walmart, Superstore, online. Only slight problem. I could only find the liquid in a buff bisque, which is close-ish to my regular foundation color, and a shell bisque in the stick. I think the liquid foundation is about $8, and I think the stick foundation is about $5. So I mean, I've enjoyed both of these products. I've obviously never used them together and never tested them against one another. So I thought this would be kind of super fun. So obviously I have my eyes on. I did prime. I don't use the Wet n Wild primer because it makes me break out. I use my Smashbox Photo Finish primer, and we're gonna go to it. One of the biggest differences that I found with these two is that I have to use a kabuki style brush with the stick foundation, and I have to use a sponge with the liquid foundation. So we'll put the stick on my left, your right side, and the liquid foundation on my right, your left side. I'm a little dyslexic, so I sometimes have to sort that out for myself. So this is what it looks like. It isn't a big glue stick kind of style kind of thing, so I mean the color is actually, this is probably more my now color than the liquid. It kind of depends. It goes on, it glides on actually pretty well. Right off the hop, I do see a lot of my pores coming through. If you're wondering what I'm looking at, I have my one mirror right here. So I'm just taking a kabuki style, it's actually an angled kabuki. And I'm just gonna blend that in. I find the Wet n Wild for the price is very good quality. I don't like the smell of it. We'll do a smell test in just a second against the both of them. I have found in the past that the Wet n Wild foundations don't last as long as say a Too Faced foundation. But you know what? For the price, I can totally deal with that. So next I'm going to take my liquid Wet n Wild foundation, and it has, ew, a little crusty. It has a doe foot applicator on it, which is just plastic. So there is a little, obviously some color difference between the two, but I figured we could just kind of make that up as we go on. Make that up as we go along. I'm gonna take a sponge. This one's a Profusion one. I kind of switch back and forth between sponges I like and sponges I don't like. So obviously right off the bat, they cover about the same. I do see a little bit more pore, like my pores are showing more on the stick side. Well, that's not terrible. So right off the bat, the stick foundation side has dried down to a little bit more of a dewy finish. The liquid side is still drying-ish, but it's kind of going more to the matte side, which, I mean, that is one of the differences. The other thing is too, I found that the glue stick style foundation is a little bit more tacky, and it still is a little bit tacky, so we're gonna see what happens once we put powder on. But it is not too terrible. I do think that the stick foundation in Shell Bisque is more my current foundation color, and the liquid is more my kind of midsummer range. I mean, overall the coverage is about the same. Sorry, I'm looking at my other mirrors too. The coverage is about the same. I don't notice a whole bunch of difference within the coverage and the quality of the product. I do think that I like the stick foundation better just because it is easier, but we will set this beast and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to take my Too Faced, it's a bronzer, it's the Satin Dual Tone Bronzer. I love this bronzer, it smells like coconuts and it's in a beautiful package. And I'm just going to take that and make some bronzy toastiness around my face. I really wish I could get into the Wet n Wild primer. I've tried it a number of times and I've tried different formulas, but every single time it breaks me out no matter what. So I don't know what is in it that does that to me, but it just is a constant issue. I have not put any concealer on today, but I don't think I'm going to, just because I don't know how long I'm going to last with this look. So I'm going to set this as well, and I'm taking my Coty Airspun loose face powder in Natural. I like to set my entire face with Wet n Wild foundation only because it tends to slip a little bit more and it tends to just have a little bit more issues holding on throughout the day, so I like to just powder the entire face. And then obviously throughout the day we'll like touch it up and fix it up. Take a fluffy brush. And just kind of dust it all off. I mean, overall, you guys, I don't see a huge difference. I think the quality is very, very similar between the stick and the liquid foundation. The coverage is pretty much identical between the two. I do see, like I said, I do see a lot more pores on the glue stick style, the stick style foundation. I'm gonna call it a glue stick because that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a kid's glue stick. Then the liquid side, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible, and especially for the price, I mean, I could totally do either. We should do a smell test just because we all know the Wet n Wild has an odor, so I'm gonna start with the stick foundation and I put that on my left side. You're right. What? Is there no smell? The slightest hint of odor on the stick foundation. Now let's go to the liquid, which was on my right, your left. Oh yeah, there it is. Classic Wet n Wild smell. Foundation smell. The scent is the biggest difference between the two. I cannot smell hardly anything in the stick foundation versus the liquid foundation. The liquid foundation has that classic Wet n Wild smell and kind of paint thinnery-ish, you know. It's got that odor. It tends to go away after you've worn it, but the stick foundation does not have a smell, and I'm gonna double check that. Nothing. Just maybe the finest little hint, and it could be odors from this one still. So overall, guys, I think either one of the Wet n Wild foundations are great for the price. The biggest difference that the glue stick style is a little bit more tacky versus the liquid. The glue stick style one dries a little bit more dewy than the liquid. Liquid tends to dry a little bit more matte. The smell is the biggest difference between the two. The glue stick style is like no scent or very small, fine hint of smell, and the liquid foundation has that classic Wet n Wild smell. Excuse me, smell. Today has been a versus between Wet n Wild stick foundation and the liquid Wet n Wild foundation, and I think that the stick foundation has won just by a little bit. Once again, you guys, thank you all for stopping in. My name's Kat. I'd be very happy if you hit the little subscribe and give me a like. A big thumbs up would be awesome. Put it down in the comments which foundation from Wet n Wild you guys like better. I'm always interested in knowing, and we'll see you guys again soon.